So you're thinking about moving to Nunavut. Maybe you just got a government job. Maybe you heard the salaries are mouth-watering. Or maybe you're just coming here for adventure. Honestly, the North is beautiful. The landscapes are so unreal. The culture is rich. The experience is life-changing. But listen, there are some things people conveniently forget to tell you before you come here, because moving to Nunavut is not just relocating, it's entering a completely different lifestyle. And if you come up here unprepared, this place will humble you. Hello everyone, welcome back to Grace and Great with Queen, where we grow, we learn, and we share real life experiences people don't always prepare you for. If you are new here, this channel is all about faith, personal growth, real life experiences, and the reality of life in Northern Canada and beyond. And today, we are starting a brand new series, The Things You Need to Know Before Coming to Nunavut. Because trust me, there are a lot of things you need to know before coming to Nunavut. So my brother, my sister, if you've made up that decision to pack your bags and say, oh, I'm taking my flight to Nunavut, sit down, let's have a chat. Now, let's begin with transportation, because this is the first reality check people always get when they get to Nunavut. Flights to Nunavut are definitely not a child's play. This is not one of the places whereby you just say, oh, let me book this quick weekend flight to Toronto. You're leaving Montreal to Alberta. No, 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 no. Up here, travel is strategy. Flying is basically the only way to get here. And not just here, even between communities in the region. There are no highways connecting communities or cities here like those in the south. So, if you miss your flight, congratulations, you are now practicing patience professionally. Here in Nunavut, flights are mainly operated by Canadian North, cargo, and charter flights depending on the area. This means limited options, and sometimes the tickets are so expensive during high seasons. Please be careful with suspicious cheap tickets online, because the moment people hear you're desperate to travel north, suddenly everyone on Facebook Market becomes a travel agent. Be careful, verify everything, and use official websites. Imagine this. Being scammed even before you arrive up north is not fun at all. So you want to avoid that by all means necessary. The north has not even started pulling out your skin, yet you're already dealing with that kind of stress. My brother, my sister, it's not funny. Something else that you should take into consideration, the weather. The weather can cancel or delay flights, but don't worry, rescheduling is always available. Sometimes the plane is technically there, but the weather says, no, not today. My tip for you today, if you want to come to Nunavut, you have to plan early, budget properly, and equally develop some patience. Because up here, travel is not even for convenience, it is a means of survival. Now, let's talk about the part where most people think they understand about Nunavut, the weather. Oh yes, the weather. And people would often say, oh, I know it's cold, I'll just go and grab a winter jacket. That's cute. The north is not just cold, it has powerful winds, extreme temperatures, icy conditions, unpredictable storms, and some days the wind alone will slap confidence out of you. You will think you are strong until 5 minutes later, everything around you had already changed. Then you will stand right there asking yourself what brought you to this place in the first place. Winter here is different. The darkness feels heavy. Some days it's dark when you wake up and dark when you leave work. And emotionally, that adjustment is real and demanding. The part people really underestimate, the long hours of daylight in the summer. The sun barely wants to sleep. At midnight, places are still bright outside. Your body becomes confused. Then you close your curtains like you're fighting the sun personally. A lot of newcomers struggle mentally at first because nobody prepared them for how deeply the weather can affect their mood, their energy, motivation, and mental health. So, a quick background story. The first time I had to experience these long periods of darkness in the winter was sometimes when I had gotten here and settled here. Oh dear. I had this experience I will never forget. So it was about midday when I was struggling to finish up some work on my work computer. And suddenly, everywhere became so dark. And I was confused. But I was confused in my sleep because I was almost nodding when I realized, oh no, I'm still at work. I just turned and looked at my colleague and I was like, it seems like my village people have finally located me. Oh. Oh no, this was not what was happening. And that is why things like vitamin D, a well planned out routine, social interactions, and lots of rest can help you during this period. Up here in Nunavut, wellness is very intentional. This is not just about the weather, this is about the lifestyle you've chosen to adopt. Because up in Nunavut, we do have extreme temperatures that should ride down to -50 and -55 in some communities. But always make sure to double your clothing in the winter. That's my tip for you today. Now, let's talk about the real villain. Housing. Housing in Nunavut is very expensive. Now, this is the kind of topic that will give somebody high blood pressure, but listen. Now, I'm not meaning the Toronto kind of expensive. I'm meaning pretty expensive. The kind where you will log into an app and log back out. You'll find nothing at all to deal with. That is what I mean by housing in Nunavut is expensive. And for somebody watching, the person will tell me, oh, I got a government job, so I'm covered. Not all government jobs come with subsidized staff housing. So always make sure to verify your contract very well. And if you're one of those whose contract did not come with subsidized staff housing, well, you're welcome to the Hunger Games. Rental availability is limited, waiting lists can be very long, and priority system exists, which means even if you have the money, finding a place is another story. And please be very careful about unusual Facebook rental scams before you get here. If somebody tells you to drop money first and then the keys later, my brother and sister in Christ, when you finish reading that message, block and run. Because up here, it is often difficult for you to see a listing when you're down south. One thing that does help though, community Facebook groups, sometimes that's where you'll find room rentals, shared spaces, and temporary housing leads. Because honestly, a lot of newcomers start with shared accommodations and the rest you discover slowly after arriving. So my advice for you today, do not come here financially empty. Keep your savings intact because Nunavut has a way of testing your budgeting skills very quickly. And now we get to the character development part. Transportation around the town. Forget Ubers and Lyfts very fast. If you are used to Uber and Lyfts, urging rides and getting them instantly, please drop that expectation at the airport. Uber is not operating here and we mainly use local taxis. In Iqaluit, for example, Caribou Cabs and some other local taxi companies are the ones who give out these services here. And the experience is very different from the one you will get in the south. You don't just click and a car appears magically. No, here you call, you wait, and then you wait some more. And then a taxi suddenly appears after you had started re-questioning all your life decisions and what made you to come here in the first place. And honestly, you adapt because a northern life, it teaches you a couple of things like the big P, being patient. The north teaches you patience without any skill. So my advice for you today, stop expecting this big city convenience. Plan your movements accordingly and always leave early. And something to keep at the back of your mind. Most taxi companies have options for people that have more than 3 drop-offs. Always communicate with your chauffeur appropriately and he will give you those good prices that they always have. Okay? This is because convenience looks different in Nunavut. Nunavut is big, but some of the communities are smaller than you think. Now, just a quick background story. So before I came here, a friend tell me a story. They used to tell me, they had never been here by the way, but they used to tell me, oh, the distance is so far. One house can be miles away, so prepare yourself to walk. That experience was so scary. But when I got here, then I realized it wasn't what I was told. Like, a distance is not as far as they made me to imagine it to be. Now, this shocks a lot of people. The town is smaller than you think. In many Nunavut communities, everything is close: work, stores, schools, government buildings, and sometimes your entire routine exists within one small area. If you're coming from a big city, the adjustments can feel real suddenly because of less movement, less traffic, and less distraction, and life becomes quieter. And honestly, this quietness can either heal you or it can expose something you have been battling with. The North has a way of slowing life down, and not everyone is mentally prepared for that. So, my tip for you today: you have to embrace change and welcome her with open arms. And one last thing, you have to be mentally prepared. Now, let's talk about something people don't usually think about until they've arrived here. Your bank abandoned you down south. Oh, scratch that. Not all banks are here. That's what I meant. Because suddenly, your favorite bank from the south is nowhere to be found. In many Nunavut communities, banking options are limited. Some of the common ones that we have here include RBC, CIBC, and Inuit-owned financial services, but others are still to be operational. And listen, this can become very stressful, especially when your credit card starts feeling like they're in a strange location and you stand there hoping, oh no, I need help. It is not funny. Now, personally, one thing I would like to share with most of you newcomers to Nunavut is we still operate like back in the good old days where cash was never a problem to carry along because our pockets didn't have any holes in it. So, what I mean here is always make sure to carry some dollar bills on you. It is essential, you guys. Make sure you have some notes like $10, $20, 50. Carrying $100 won't harm a bird, will it? This is for your own convenience. Well, I was just sharing a tip. If you like, come here without any cash, you would understand what I meant when you're finally here. Now, this doesn't mean that some banks are not reachable. Come on, we live in the digital age, and it only means that your problems can be solved, of course, at a distance. But then, if you want to be on the safe side, make sure you walk around with some cash. And now, this one might sound funny. Facebook community groups would become your survival guide in Nunavut. Community Facebook groups are basically part of Northern survival culture. On a serious note, a lot of important updates happen there. This includes weather alerts, flight updates, housing posts, local news, missing items, events, and community concerns. I mean, everything. If you're not connected, you would feel lost very quickly. And honestly, this is the one thing I actually love about northern communities. People inform each other, people help each other. There's a stronger sense of we are all navigating in this together. When the bad weather hits and these flights get delayed and something unexpected happens, then you see that communities matters more. So this is the more reason you should join these Facebook community groups early, because up here in the north, information travels through people just like the sound of the wind, very fast and swift. You'd want to be there and you want to get those informations. Guys, before I close this episode for today, I need to say something very important. Consider this the most important thing I would have said through this entire episode. And this thing is about respecting the culture right here. Yes, because if you do not respect the culture here, you would struggle. You have to learn their culture and learn how to integrate yourself into the culture. Here, the culture is not hard to learn. They have principles which they live by, the Inuit values. Inuit societal values are the important ways Inuit people believe we should live, like being kind, helping each other, sharing, working together, and caring for the land and community. Nunavut is not just a workplace. It's not just a contract, a job, or an adventure. These communities carry deep culture, history, identity, and traditions. If you're planning on moving to Nunavut, one of the things you have to learn to do is to respect others' culture. So you have to learn the ways in which Inuit people treat themselves. You have to integrate yourselves in the community, and that is by respecting people, honoring elders, because it's an essential part of the culture here in the north that cannot be ignored. If you come here with a sense of disrespect, it would easily be felt by everyone around you. Hopefully, you can have someone to give you some guidance on that. But respect is highly essential in this culture. It is not something which is optional. So now you understand, moving to Nunavut is not just about changing locations. It's about adapting mentally, emotionally, socially, and culturally. But honestly, if you come up here prepared, this place has a way of transforming your life genuinely for good. If you enjoyed this episode, do not hesitate to like and subscribe to Grace and Great with Queen. Equally tell me in the comment section, what are some of the things you've heard about Nunavut? Until then, stay grounded, stay growing. This was Grace and Great with Queen.